Principal said no one stays in Lincoln Ridge High after 6 p.m. But last Friday, 5 of us had detention and only 4 walked out. Lincoln Ridge High sat on the edge of town like a forgotten memory. Old brick walls, dusty hallways, and those buzzing fluorescent lights that never stopped flickering. It was the kind of school that always felt cold, even in summer. That Friday, the halls were empty except for 5 of us. Me, Eli, Jordan, Samantha, Tyler, and Nora. We all got detention for different reasons. Phones, skipped classes, late homework. Nothing serious. But we all hated being there on a Friday night. The teacher supervising detention was Mr. Grayson. He was old, quiet, always carried a thermos of black coffee and never smiled. Rumor was, he'd been teaching here since the 80s, back when the school had another name. Was on the 3rd floor, right near the west wing. That part of the building had been closed off years ago after a fire. Nobody ever talked about it, but every student knew the story, that a kid had died there. I never believed it, until that night. Mr. Grayson handed out a sheet of paper and said, "Write an apology essay. You leave when I say you can." Then he sat at his desk, opened his thermos, and stared out the window. The clock on the wall ticked louder than usual. 4:08 p.m. Outside, the sky was getting dark. The school always looked different at sunset. The walls seemed longer, the shadows deeper. Jordan leaned toward me and whispered, "You ever heard about the kid who burned in this building?" Samantha rolled her eyes. "Oh, here we go again." But Jordan kept talking. "My brother graduated in 2010. He said they used to call this the Ash Wing. That fire started in a detention room, just like this one." Mr. Grayson looked up slowly. "Quiet," he said without even blinking. "No talking during detention." We all froze. Then we heard it. A thump, somewhere above us. Mr. Grayson didn't even look up. Tyler whispered, "What was that?" No answer. Minutes passed. The sun went down. By 6:15, the only light in the room came from the overhead bulbs, 2 of which were flickering so badly it looked like they were about to die. Mr. Grayson stood up. "I'll be back," he said. "Stay seated." He walked out, his shoes echoing down the empty hall. When the door closed, something changed. The air got heavier. It felt colder, like someone had turned on an invisible fan. Then Nora pointed toward the back of the room. "Hey!" That wasn't there before. We all turned. One of the lockers near the corner, an old dented one, was open. Jordan frowned. "Did anyone open that?" Samantha shook her head. "No, it was closed when we came in." I got up and walked closer. Inside was a single student ID card covered in dust. The name was barely visible, but I could still read it. Evan Cole, class of 1999, behind the card. Something else, a burnt piece of notebook paper. It said, "The door doesn't lock from the inside." I turned around to show the others, but then we all heard it, a creaking sound. The classroom door. Moving slowly, it was closing on its own. We ran for it, but by the time I reached it, click, it was locked. Tyler grabbed the handle and shook it hard. It stuck. Jordan shouted, "Mr. Grayson, open the door." No answer. Samantha started panicking. "This isn't funny." "Someone open it." And then the lights went out. Total darkness. For a few seconds, no one spoke, just the sound of breathing and the faint buzz of the dying lights. I turned on my phone's flashlight. The beam cut through the dark, hitting the chalkboard. There was writing on it now, fresh white chalk. "One of you stays," Samantha gasped. "Who wrote that?" Tyler swore. "This is a prank." "Has to be." But then from outside the door came footsteps. Slow, deliberate. We all froze. The handle turned, once, twice, but the door didn't open. Jordan whispered, "That's him." "Right, Mr. Grayson?" I listened carefully. Whoever it was breathing heavy. Too heavy. Then a voice, low, almost like a whisper through the crack of the door. "Sit down." We did. No one moved. Minutes passed. The lights flickered back on. The door was open again. Mr. Grayson walked in, calm as ever, sipping his coffee. "What's wrong with you kids?" he asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost." We didn't answer. Jordan pointed toward the chalkboard. "Who wrote that?" Grayson turned to look, but the writing was gone. The board was clean. He smirked. I told you not to talk. He glanced at the clock. Dios. All right, he said. You can go. We rushed out of that room like our lives depended on it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something about that locker, the ID card, it wouldn't leave my mind. So I looked it up. Evan Cole, Lincoln Ridge High. 1999. There was only one result. A newspaper clipping from May 1999. Local teen dies in Lincoln Ridge High fire. Officials say he was serving after school. Detention. It was the same room number, same day of the week, Friday. They said the fire was an accident. But accidents don't write messages in chalk all weekend. I couldn't stop thinking about the name on that ID card, Evan Cole. He wasn't just a story. He was real, and the fire happened in the same room we'd been locked inside. By Monday, the five of us could barely focus. Tyler kept cracking jokes to hide how nervous he was. Samantha wouldn't even look at the West Wing when we passed it, but Jordan, he wanted answers. At lunch, he dropped a pile of printouts on the cafeteria table. I found this online, he said, old news clippings. Photos of the fire, reports that said faulty wiring. But one image made us all go quiet, a picture of the classroom after the fire. The same desks, same layout, and in the background, a single locker, burned black. Nora whispered, that's the one from Friday. The same locker where we found Evan's ID. That night, Jordan messaged me, meet me at school tomorrow after 5. I want to see something. I should have said no. But part of me wanted to know, too. Tuesday evening, we snuck in through the back doors, the janitor's entrance. The building was silent, echoing every step. When we reached the 3rd floor, the hallway lights were dim, some completely dead. Our shoes squeaked against the waxed floor. The door to the detention room was open. Everything looked the same. Desks lined up perfectly. Chalkboard clean. Locker door closed. Jordan set his phone to record. If anything happens, he said, we'll have proof. We opened the locker again. The ID card was gone. Instead, there was a folded paper, old, yellowed from smoke. It looked like a detention slip. Name, Evan Cole. Reason, disruptive behavior during class. Date, May 14th, 1999. Time, 6:30 p.m. The same time we'd been there. On the back of the slip, someone had written in pencil, he locked me in. Jordan frowned. Who's he? Then we heard footsteps in the hall. We froze. Someone was coming. Slow, dragging steps. Jordan whispered, maybe it's Grayson. We waited, but no one appeared. The steps stopped right outside the door. Then the doorknob turned. Slowly, Jordan held up his phone flashlight, aiming it toward the door. Nothing. The hall was empty. But when we turned back toward the locker, it was open again. A burnt smell filled the air, like melted plastic. Jordan shined his light inside and screamed, a handprint, charred black against the inside of the locker door. We ran out, down the hall. The lights flickered violently, stuttering between dark and white. Somewhere behind us, a door slammed. We didn't stop until we reached the stairwell. When we got outside, Jordan looked pale. That wasn't some ghost story, Eli. Someone burned in there. Maybe Grayson knows something. The next morning, Grayson wasn't in school. The substitute said he called in sick. But in homeroom, the principal made an announcement. Due to maintenance concerns, the West Wing will be closed until further notice. Students are not to enter the area. Tyler leaned toward me and whispered, maintenance my ass. Samantha looked uneasy. You think Grayson's involved? I shrugged. I don't know, but I'm not done yet. After classes, I went to the library. Mrs. Lang, the librarian, had been here forever. If anyone knew about old records, it was her. I asked if there were any archives from the 1990s. She smiled faintly. We keep old yearbooks downstairs. You can check the 1999 one if you want. She handed me a key and pointed toward the basement. The basement was dark and cold, filled with boxes of old trophies and faded photos. I found the 1999 yearbook on the top shelf. Covered in dust, I flipped through it, and there he was, Evan Cole, Sr. Brown hair, blue eyes, friendly smile. Underneath his photo, someone had written in red ink, he didn't deserve it. I turned the page and froze. The next student photo had been cut out. Only the name remained. Mr. Daniel Grayson. He wasn't just a teacher, he'd been a student that same year. I ran upstairs to tell the others, but when I reached the hallway, people were whispering. Teachers huddled near the office. Someone said, "They found a car wreck near the old quarry." Another voice added, "That poor boy, burned so badly they had to identify him by his dental records." Then I heard the name, Jordan. My hands went cold. They said his car caught fire around 6:30 last night, the same time we'd been in the school. That night, I got a text from an unknown number, no name, just a message. He locked me in too. Attached was a photo, the burned locker, glowing faintly red, like it was still on fire. Some teachers punish you for being late. Mr. Grayson punished us for coming back. After Jordan's death, school didn't feel like school anymore. The hallways were quieter, the lights dimmer, everyone whispered, but no one said his name. The official story said his car caught fire. Mechanical failure, they called it. But I knew better, because that same night, I got another message, no number, no name, just 3 words, "He's still here." And a photo of room 302, the detention room, door slightly open. I deleted it immediately, but it didn't matter. I knew what it meant. Someone wanted me back there. By Wednesday, Samantha stopped showing up to school. When I called her, she wouldn't answer. Nora said she was sick, but the truth was worse. She'd been found in her house, sitting in her room with all the windows blacked out. Her parents said she kept muttering the same sentence. "He locked me in." The exact words from that burned detention slip. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know what happened in 1999, what Grayson did. So after school, I went to the office pretending I'd lost my ID card, while the secretary searched for it. I slipped into the back storage room where old records were kept. There were dozens of dusty folders, but one caught my eye. A burnt corner, labeled Incident Report, 1999. Inside were photos of the fire, student statements, and at the very end, a disciplinary report. It listed 2 names, Evan Cole, student, Daniel Grayson, student aide. Reason: disruptive conduct during detention. Argument led to damage and fire outbreak. The last line was handwritten, only 1 body recovered. My blood ran cold. That night I called Nora. She didn't answer. Then, 10 minutes later, she texted me. "Meet me at the school. 6:30. Bring the ID card." The ID card? I didn't have it. It disappeared days ago, but something in me said I had to go. The sky was black when I reached Lincoln Ridge High. The gates were locked, but one side door, near the gym, was slightly open. Inside, the halls were empty. No janitors, no teachers, only the sound of the wind through the vents. As I climbed to the 3rd floor, every step echoed. My flashlight cut across dusty lockers and peeling paint. Then I saw her, Nora, standing outside the detention room, staring at the door. "Nora," I whispered, "what are you doing here?" She turned slowly. Her eyes looked empty or distant. "He wants to finish it," she said. "Finish what?" She didn't answer. Instead, she pushed the door open. The room looked different. The desks were gone. The walls were scorched black again, like the fire had never stopped burning. In the center of the room stood Mr. Grayson. No coffee mug, no thermos, just him staring at the locker. "Mr. Grayson," I said, "why are you here?" He turned to face me. His eyes were tired, sunken. "I never left," he whispered. He took a step closer. "Do you know what it's like to hear them every night?" "Them?" I asked. "The ones I couldn't save," he said. I told him not to light it. I told him to stop. He looked at me like he was somewhere else, seeing something I couldn't. Then he whispered, "Evan didn't start the fire." I did. The air went cold. He was locked in because of me. I left to get help, but the door jammed. When I came back, he choked on his words. There wasn't anything left. Nora started crying softly. "He wants you to stay, Eli. He doesn't want to be alone." I stepped back. "What are you talking about?" The locker door swung open, on its own. Inside, the burned handprint began to bleed. Fresh, red streaks ran down the metal like tears. The smell of smoke filled the air. Grayson whispered. He never forgave me. Then a voice echoed through the room. Not Grayson's. Young, hoarse, broken. "You left me here." The chalkboard scraped as invisible hands wrote words in white chalk. Trade places. Grayson fell to his knees. Please, Evan, not them. Take me. But the lights began to flicker violently. The floor trembling. The fire alarm, dead for years, started ringing. Nora screamed. The air shimmered. Heat rising from the floor like smoke. And in the middle of it all, I saw Evan Cole, not burned, not ghostly, just a boy. Sad, pale, eyes full of grief. He looked at me, then at Grayson. Grayson whispered, "I'm sorry." Evan raised his hand. The locker door slammed shut, and then silence. When I opened my eyes, I was outside. Fire trucks surrounded the building. Smoke poured from the third-floor windows. They said there'd been an electrical fire. They found one body. Mr. Grayson's. The police called it an accident. But I saw the truth. He wasn't burned. He looked peaceful, like someone who'd finally been released. Nora moved away a week later. She doesn't answer my calls anymore. Sometimes late at night, I hear a faint alarm in my dreams, that same bell from the fire. And sometimes when I drive past Lincoln Ridge High, I see a figure in the window, a man standing still, watching the empty parking lot. The school's been shut down now, condemned, but every year on May 14th, someone leaves a single white chalk stick by the front gate. No one knows who. All I know is this. The door to room 302 is gone, but the locker is still there. And if you listen close enough, you can hear a voice whispering behind it. Stay after class.